Was there any volatility in the standings across the NHL tonight? Well, let's take a look at some of the final scores to find out. The Hawks faced off with the Ducks. Chicago takes this one thanks to a beautiful performance in goal for the shutout win. Well, with this one all in the books, let's get you caught up on some of the other final scores around the National Hockey League. The Canucks took on the Avalanche. Vancouver partied it up with an offensive display en route to the win. Now let's take a look at some of the rest of the action tonight in the NHL. The Blackhawks were hoping to come up with 2 points on the road against the Kings. Los Angeles taps into another gear and pick up the 2 points in the win. The Canucks took to the ice to battle the Wild. Minnesota pulls one out in a nail-biter. The Lightning played on the road against the Bruins. Boston took this one with a strong game at both ends of the ice. Don't go anywhere. We've got much more here on the show. All right, at this time, let's get you caught up on all the action on the ice tonight. The Blackhawks were on the road to take on the Avalanche. Chicago played a complete game in this one and easily get the regulation win. Well, that's all she wrote for this one, but let's get you caught up on some of the other finals in the matchups tonight. The Canucks were looking to steal 2 points against the Oilers. Edmonton tramples their opposition in this one with a powerhouse offensive display. The Blue Shirts faced off against the Capitals. The New York Rangers took it to the net in this one and they picked up the win. The story on the ice continues in a moment. I think, hey, look, I get why the fan base is disappointed, right? Hey, look, you play to win, right? You play to win the game. You want to win championships. And I will say this. I loved what the coaching staff had to say about his play because of the fact that, man, he was noticeable every night. He brought it, right? You can't look at him and say, you know what, we didn't get enough out of him. He was great in the postseason. Loved his energy, loved his compete, and I think what you heard from the coaching staff there just moments ago. And I think, hey, look, I get why the fan base is disappointed, right? Hey, look, you play to win, right? You play to win the game. You want to win championships. And I will say this. I loved what the coaching staff had to say about his play because of the fact that, man, he was noticeable every night. He brought it, right? You can't look at him and say, you know what, we didn't get enough out of him. He was great in the postseason. Loved his energy, loved his compete, and I think what you heard from the coaching staff there just moments ago, I think they felt the same way as well. All right, back to line 5 we go. Who is it? It's Naveed. And I think one of the other storylines to me that I'm intrigued by is, you look at what we've seen from him, and yes, we all know he's a talented player, but can he win? Can he win the Stanley Cup? And I think that question needs to be asked now because, he's been in the league for more than a half a decade. I like what he said this week, that he's all in, that he is ready to be in it to win it. I think he's going to need his teammates to be in that same mindset as well, right? I mean, he can only control what he can control, but let's see if there's a different player out there on the ice this year because, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think a lot of people have kind of seen, like, can he break on through to be great, right? There's very good, and then there's great. And I think we're waiting to see if he can make that jump and win the Stanley Cup. All right, to the phones we go. Matthew is on line 4. And the whole narrative and the expression being good in the room, right? Chemistry is important with a team. How many times have we seen teams that are absolutely stacked with talent and they fall apart? Why? Because there was just a disconnect within the room. And I know with some reporters and some of the media members asking the kid, saying, hey, you know what, why? How do you endear yourself to teammates more? I don't know if there's ever really an answer. I mean, you can go out and, try to be the best player you can be. That's one way to do it. Personally speaking, I think another great way to do it is buying everybody pizza. Because, who likes pizza? Everybody, right? Everybody loves pizza. Let's go back to the phones here. Let's go to Brent. Brent is on line 3. Well, let's take a look at how the standings were impacted with some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Bruins went toe-to-toe on the road against the Avalanche. Boston treated almost everyone to a magical offensive display. The Kings had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road against the Wild. Minnesota proved to be a little too much to handle in this night. The Penguins were looking to steal two against the Golden Knights. Vegas treated everybody to a brilliant offensive display. Hey, we got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more on the other side. Don't even think about leaving us. Busy night of action on the ice. Let's take a look at some of the finals that are in from tonight. The Wild paired up with the Blackhawks. Minnesota powers through in a tight one. The Kings took to the road to match up with the Bruins. Los Angeles trusted the system, they stayed with it, and they pull out the win. The Lightning played a game against the Predators. Nashville padded the stats in this one, scoring at will. Lots more puck talk coming your way, and we'll get to it next. All right, let's get all you poolies and all you hockey fans caught up on all the action out on the ice tonight. The Penguins had an on-ice collision with the Senators. Ottawa too much to handle in the shootout as they come away with the win. The Bulls took to the road to match up with the Maple Leafs. Toronto perseveres, weathering the storm, and they win it in the shootout. The Sharks were in a dogfight on the road up against the Canadiens. San Jose technically superior in this one, and they skate away with the victory. We got to take a quick break, everybody, but we've got a lot more to get to. Stay with us. Let's check in on some of the final scores across the league tonight. The Blues were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Avalanche. Colorado put on a show offensively in the win. The Jets were on the road to take on the Flames. Winnipeg terrorized the goalie with a monster offensive display. The Red Wings were hoping to fly high on the road against the Capitals. Detroit pummels the opposition into submission with a big offensive night. Hey, we got to pay a couple of bills here, but we got a lot more action we got to get to. Stay with us.